Hi everyone, I think you can all hear me. I'm Mesut, as introduced by Do, and I'll do a presentation about Central Asia. First of all, about our company, Flo Tours is a boutique-style tour operator to the off-the-beaten parts of the world. We do small groups, and especially to Central Asia, as shown on the screen over here by our beginning page of the PowerPoint show. Our group size never exceeds 14 persons. We have, of course, our headquarters would be in Florida, in Lake Mary, but we've got some overseas offices. As shown over here, we have a Central Asia office in Uzbekistan to manage our operation with the surrounding countries as well. Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. When we talk about Central Asia, of course, we're talking about Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. So our offices can be seen over here. You know, we have Caucasus, Azerbaijan offices, and also Georgia, Armenia, and 2 offices in Turkey, Cappadocia, and Istanbul. Well, since we're presenting Central Asia, we should show the vehicles that we would be using in Central Asia. And when you see the coach down there, you will ask me, why would you say 14 people maximum if the group size doesn't exceed 14 people? But sometimes we have, you know, people sticking together into one group and they say, okay, your group size never exceeds 14 people, but, you know, we are 40, so get us 2. Then we use, you know, big coaches like that. Otherwise, you know, small vehicles like that. That would be our transportation fleet in the Central Asian countries. Well, this map looks very complicated, but actually it's very easy. What I try to explain over here, you know, we have direct flights from America by Turkish Airlines, by the way, from JFK, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Washington, Miami, and Atlanta. You know, they just land in Istanbul, and then we have very easy connections from Istanbul to any of the Central Asian countries. From United States to here, from Los Angeles, I think it's about 13 hours. From JFK, about 10 hours. And once you get down in Istanbul, then you get your connection flight. Again, with Turkish Airlines, very comfortable airline, by the way, fantastic airline. And, you know, you go any of the Central Asian countries. Well, this red border includes the Central Asian countries, including Tajikistan, and those countries, including Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Kyrgyzstan, would be Turkic background nations, I would say, speaking a dialect of Turkish. For example, when I go there, actually, you know, I don't have to speak in another language. I may always communicate with my own Turkish. By the way, I'm a Turkish national. I live in Istanbul, but back and forth to our headquarters in the United States and all over the world, to the parts of the world we do operation, by the way. So the Turkish spoken over there, and the Turkish we're speaking in Turkey are very similar, different dialects, and we can easily communicate. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Well, this map shows you our 5 stands tour in Central Asia. If it's a 5 stands tour, we start from usually Almaty. You know, it might be changed, but this is the usual thing that we do in Central Asia. We start from Almaty, and after visiting Almaty, we go down to Bishkek, and a very unique part of Kyrgyzstan. From Bishkek to Karakol, after staying 1 overnight over there, going to Karakol, through the south part of Isyk-Kul. Isyk-Kul is a big lake. It's an alpine lake. I'll tell you about later on. Return back to Bishkek and, you know, go to Tashkent. And after seeing Tashkent, we would be going down to Samarkand, Bukhara. So that would be the second country. Third country, I'm so sorry, because Kazakhstan would be the first, then second one Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan would be the third. And doing almost half of Uzbekistan, we cross the border to Turkmenistan to marry and then you know, proceed to Ashgabat and fly to Dashavuz, and then you know, enter to Uzbekistan again through the northernmost border crossing points, and visit Nukus, where we have a marvelous art museum over there, and then, you know, coming down to Khiva through Urgench, and from Urgench flying back to Tashkent, because it's a very long way. Most of the time we prefer to fly from Urgench to Tashkent, and then leave Central Asia after doing those 5 countries. Of course, by the way, you know, we just pay a visit to Kujand in Tajikistan. That would be the 5th country, and then, you know, flying out from Tashkent, from Uzbekistan again. Well, the next one, I'm so sorry, would be, you know, 3 stans. We start from Tashkent, you know, visit Tajikistan, and then of course go to Ashgabat, and same route again, you know, entering once more to Uzbekistan through Nukus, and coming back to Tashkent and living there. Here we do 3 countries. You know, this would be the 5 stan, this would be the 3 stan, Central Asia. Well, we start with Almaty. Almaty is a modern city, especially recently. A lot of skyscrapers, most of the international chain hotels had their own, you know, establishments over there. It's a modern city, but an old city as well. This is a hotel that we would usually use in Almaty, a 5-star hotel, and you know, this is a Turkish chain, and some Central Asian faces, some samples. In Central Asia, you know, we have blonde people, light-skinned people. Maybe you may think that, you know, Russian interracial marriages with Russians. No, even in the books of Marco Polo, it's written that, you know, some of the Turkic nations may have, you know, blonde people, green eyes, light skin, and so on. This is very, you know, let's say early history books. This is recorded over there, and even the Kazakhs say that, you know, this is the beginning. You see down there, for example, we have the girls from Turkmenistan, and they are really light skinned, you know, thin nosed, and mostly blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes in Turkmenistan. But in Kyrgyzstan, we have that type of faces. You know, Kazakhstan and Tajikistan faces would be like this. Okay, let's go to the other one. In Almaty, you know, we have mountain ranges, a part of the Tian Shan, called in China, but, you know, the Cossacks would call the mountains the Alatau, having the peak of over 7,000 meters. But what you can see from Almaty, of course, from downtown, about 4,000, you know, 5,000 meters high mountains covered with snow. And this is the Russian Orthodox, colorful Russian Orthodox Church in the Pamphilo Park that we always visit while we're in Almaty. This is one of the spots that we visit from the early 1900s, built by the Russians, and a medieval madrasa nearby Almaty belonging to 1200s. And in the Pamphilo Park again, we have a lot of war monuments, you know, commemorating the First World War, the Afghanistan War, the Second World War, and so on. And this is an old Russian house converted into, let's say, Central Asian Musical Instruments Museum. That would be in the Pamphilo Park as well. Then, you know, we see some Soviet architecture, the Cultural Museum with some prehistoric items in it, and so on. Some Kazakh faces. There are a lot to say, but, you know, we don't have much time, so I'm just cutting short. But I should show you the colorful grain market in Kazakhstan, and there you would see all the ethnic groups living in Kazakhstan, even the Koreans. A lot of Koreans escaped from North Korea during the you know, Korean War in the 1950s, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and still they live in Kazakhstan. They are the Kazakh citizens, still speaking Korean, and most of the I would say traders would be Koreans in the green market of Almaty. Well, after seeing this we would make our way to Bishkek. From Almaty to Bishkek, it's about 3.5 hours. It means we're crossing the border between Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. It's a walking distance, almost 300 meters from the Kazakh side. It is called Kordai border crossing from Kazakhstan. And as you enter, after 3 hours of journey to the border, after you enter Kyrgyzstan, it's only 35 minutes to the city of Bishkek. It is the largest city in Kyrgyzstan with a population of around 1 million. By the way, Almaty is 1.5 million people, the biggest city in Kazakhstan. Well, this is the central square of Bishkek, a very green city, by the way, Bishkek. And every single tree I see over there, they tell the Kyrgyz tell, you know, was planted by the Germans. You know, we had a German minority living in Bishkek, and they were the Volga Germans brought by the Russians. And after the Second World War, 1945, up to 1950s, again, the war prisoners, the German war prisoners, were brought to Bishkek by the Russians, and they contributed to the city a lot, planting trees, making the city very green, and in terms of food production too. Okay, this is the hotel we would be using in the city of Bishkek most of the time, HYATT Regency, but depending on the, let's say, request of the big groups, of course, you know, we have other hotels too. In Bishkek, we have 2 nice hotels, by the way, HYATT Regency and Orion Hotel. It's a local 5-star, and it is as nice as the HYATT Regency, by the way. Kyrgyz yurts, this is the tent that the Turks or Turkic nations, let's say, all used, and you see a modern house to the right, as you see, and a yurt, a tent, a traditional tent on the left. The Kyrgyz, some of the Kazakhs, but mostly the Mongolians, you know, put a tent right next to their houses, not to forget the taste of living in a traditional atmosphere. When I say modern, of course, it's relatively modern. It's not as modern as like the houses we have back in US, but you know, it's a modern house in Kyrgyzstan, by the way. Okay, traditional yurt. Okay, what else we visit in the city of Bishkek, or nearby Bishkek, let's say, right on the outskirts of the Alata Mountains, or with its Chinese Tian Shan Mountains, Bruna Tava. It was an old city dating back to, I would say, 1200s, 1100s. A Turkic nation, again, a Turkic society established the city. It was a city on the Silk Road, and all the caravans, you know, coming from China, you know, proceeding towards west, were stopping over there in the city of, let's say, Bruna. And this tower was built, and they were built for the purpose of placing lanterns and, I would say, maybe fire on top of it to guide the caravans. And then we're going to, you know, Karakol City. We're using a hotel over there called Hotel Green Yard, a boutique hotel, because you don't have larger hotels over there. On our way to Karakol City from Bishkek, seeing the Isikul, or the hot lake, or the lukewarm lake, we see this gorge, Yedi Oğuz. They are representing, you know, 7 bulls. Yedi Oğuz means 7 bulls in the Kyrgyz language. It's a natural wonder, and this is a part of the Isikul. On one side, as you see, you know, we have resort hotels, just like on the Mediterranean. On the other side of the lake, you have the traditional life with the yurt again. Okay, and this is a yacht club by the Isikul again. Isikul is the second highest lake, I would say. It's about 1,600 meters high, and altogether it would be about 6,230 square kilometers. It looks like a sea, by the way. In Karakol, by the far end of Isikul, we see this Russian Orthodox church made of wood. It was built in the 1860s, and it was used as a bar during the Soviet time. But recently, it has been reopened as a Russian Orthodox church. This is again another. Okay, Dungan people, or Dungan people living in the city of Karakol. Who are they? They are the Chinese Russian-speaking Muslim minority in the, it's very complicated, I know, but this is the reality. Okay, Russian-speaking, Chinese background, and Muslim minority in Kyrgyzstan. They escaped the oppressions from China to Kyrgyzstan, and this is the Dungan Mosque. As you see, it's in the form of a almost a typical Chinese building, like a pagoda. And there are even, okay, this is another scene from the Dungan Mosque in the city of Karakol, small city, a very beautiful city, a lot of ski resorts. And this is the animal market, the second largest animal market in Central Asia after the one in Kashgar, that would be in China, of course. By the way, the Karakol city is also in the Chinese border, Karakol. Okay, Przhyatsky Museum. I just put Stalin's, this is Stalin down here, and this is Przhyatsky, the Russian explorer. He fell in love with Central Asia, and he was an explorer. Some people say he was a spy, and he produced maps showing all the military roads to the Russian government. And some say that Stalin actually was the son of Przhyatsky, because in Tbilisi he had an affair. Przhyatsky had an affair with the mother of Stalin. Of course, Stalin never accepted this. Okay, the Great Silk Road, begun from China. Some people say it begun from Japan, from the city of Nara, actually, and continued all the way up to Constantinople through different parts of Turkey and different countries over here. Silk Road is an important trade route, of earlier time, and the Chinese are trying to revive it. One Belt, there was a project of Chinese One Belt, One Generation. They're just trying to revive it. Okay, this is the oldest Russian house in the city of Karakol, and colorful markets in the city of Karakol with the pickles. And that was a Dungan lady, by the way. And bread is an important part of the Central Asian cuisine, by the way. Ladies producing bread, cooking bread all over. And that's a nice photo. Food would be another reason to go to Asia, Central Asia. Well, very tasty food, very tasty meat, because they're all natural, they're all organic. Gastronomy would be an important part of tourism over there. Okay, then we go down to, Tashkent. This is the city of Tashkent with a population of almost 2,800,000. We use that hotel, Wyndham Hotel, mostly, as I told you. Those are just samples, and we have different hotels in our list to use. Okay, that would be an Islamic complex in the city of Tashkent, with the oldest Quran written in the world, belonging to 7th century AD. And this is another view of the same complex called Hazrat Imam complex, belonging to 16th century. Okay, that's another view of it. And, some other monuments of Tashkent. That would be the earthquake monument, because it was hit by a I would say big earthquake in the early 1960s. Okay, that would be the Cultural Museum, Amir Temur, TAMERLAN, and another lovely park over there, and some other hotels we use in the city of Tashkent. And Bukhara, then we go through Bukhara, and this will be the city, a hotel we will be using in the city of Bukhara, in the portal, the entrance in the form of an ancient Caravanserai or madrasa, by the way. Okay, in Bukhara, there are 300 mosques, 150 ancient madrasa and buildings starting from almost 1100s actually. That's a monument from 1100s belonging to Ismail Somoni, the founder of the Tajik and some parts of Uzbekistan, I would say. And he started one of the renaissances of Central Asia, actually. He was a Buddhist gentleman, but he was converted into Islamic religion later on. Some say, he got some bribe from the Muslims, and he said, I may persuade all the Central Asians to convert into Islamic religion. That's the story behind it. It was made of, bricks, clay bricks, and it changes its color during the sunset. It becomes more reddish during the sunset. It's a marvelous monument, I would say. You know, it was partly destroyed by the Russians, but later on it was rebuilt by the Uzbeks. By the way, it was so difficult to visit Central Asia because there weren't, let's say, country borders until recently, until 1990s, during the Soviet time. And also a part of it, belonged to Russia, and other parts belonged to China. But recently, it has been opened to the international tourism, and we are, I think, one of the best tour operators, with our offices located in the city over there. This is another complex over there, and it's a religious complex, of course. And we have, two madrasas across from each other, and one of them is called Mir Arab Madrasa, and this is the only madrasa in the city of Bukhara which is still in use, accepting students starting from 16 years old of age. Before 16, there is no religious education in Central Asia. It is forbidden. Okay, this is another monument in Bukhara. It's called the Friday Mosque, with the wooden pillars. Each pillar would be around, I would say, 13 meters high. And this is a water pond in front of the Friday Mosque. There were about 114 water ponds like that to supply the city of Bukhara with water, but they were all closed off by the Russians, by the Soviets, let's say, on the grounds that they were spreading, microbic illnesses. Another water ponds. Currently, we have only 13 of them. 13 of them can be seen, and the rest were just, closed off, just filled by sand and soil, they say. Okay, Bukhara, the spiritual city of Islam. Other monuments. The great son of Bukhara, one of the, let's say, earliest MDs of the world. We call him Ibn Sina. You call him Avicenna. He was from Bukhara, and this is the general view of Bukhara, nearby the Levi House, just the center of Bukhara, the heart of the city. By the way, the hotel we're using in Bukhara, right in the heart of the city too. It's only 5 minutes away from that beautiful place, I would say, on foot. Okay, the other hotels we use in the city of Bukhara. Small hotels, we have boutique hotels as well, depending on the taste of the guests. We may use any of them. Okay, Samarkand. Then we go to Samarkand. Samarkand, as you know, is the center of TAMERLAN or Timur. And this is one of the greatest emperors of the world after Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan. And this is the tomb of this gentleman. Other views with the beautiful tiles, as you see. And, this is the Registan Square. This is one of the most important parts of the Samarkand city. And, Samarkand is a very beautiful city. It was called the Rome of the East. Rome of the East. It was a Turco-Mongol society living there and building all those beautiful buildings. There are 3 madrasas over here. I'm not going into the details because we don't have much time. One of them was built by the Ulugh-Beg, a famous astronomer of Central Asia. The other one right over here, Persians, and the other one, again, during the time of TAMERLAN. And the interior part of them, the Golden Dome, inside one of those madrasas, the madrasa, also called, I would say, Tilla Kori. It means, golden, trimmed with gold, let's say, trimmed with gold, because gold gilded designs in the dome. And this is another one, again, inside the madrasas. When we say madrasas, during that time, of course, they were like universities, not only religious studies. On the contrary, mainly, science like astronomy, philosophy, medicine, pharmacy. That's why Central Asia was, I would say, learning center of that time. Okay, others, monuments of Bukhara. This is a mosque. I just put this scene over here. You see, this is a human being, and you may imagine how big it is, how colossal the structure is. And those are all, again, you know, tiles, blue tiles. All the domes, even the fluted ones like this one, are covered with beautiful tiles. Another view of the same mosque. This would be the royal tombs in Samarkand. TAMERLAN, another great son of Uzbekistan, I would say, and he is also called, you know, Iron Man. He got all the wars. He won all the wars that he entered. The empire of TAMERLAN, by the way, over here, there are a lot to say about TAMERLAN as well. You know, his fight with the other Turkish empires, with the Ottomans and so on, and sometimes probably may go into details another time. Okay, this Alexander the Great was also interested in Central Asia, and he made his way all the way up to, you know, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, up to Samarkand. And one of his wives, by the way, was from Israfshan, called Roxana. Roxana in the Central Asian languages, in the Turkic languages, but of course Roxalena in Latin, in let's say Western languages, in Greek and Latin languages. He married there with Roxana in the city of Israfshan. They say the wedding was in Samarkand city. Those are the royal tombs in Samarkand, again, colossal structures, and it is like the Olive Mountain or the Mount Zion in Jerusalem. You know, every learned man, every rich man would like to be buried in the royal tombs, even today in Samarkand. Samarkand, you know, another great personality, Mirza or Prince Ulugh Beg. He was an astronomer, a scientist, rather than a ruler, by the way. And you know, he calculated the length of the sidereal year and determined that there were 365 days, 6 hours, 10 minutes, 8 seconds, with an accuracy of you know, minus plus 58 seconds. Okay, this is the observatory museum, because he built an observatory as well in the 1400s, one of the first observatories of the world. And this is where the observatory is. You know, other great personalities of you know, Uzbekistan and Central Asia. One of them was the grandson of TAMERLAN or Timur, also Babu Shah, he's called, and he built the Taj Mahal in India. Okay, hotels that we use in Samarkand, you know, 5-star hotels are being built, but most of the time we use that hotel and this hotel. And some of this is the hotel now called Registan. The name was just changed, and the Grand Samarkand Hotel. This is the interior part of the Grand Samarkand Hotel. Some other boutique hotels, by the way. And we sometimes take bullet trains instead of driving from Bukhara to Samarkand. And then, as you know, as I have shown on the map, we're crossing to Turkmenistan to marry, staying in this hotel in Turkmenistan. And this is the hotel we're using in the city of Ashgabat. And this is the Turkmenbashi Mosque. It's a recent building, can accommodate 10,000 people. The minaret, 91 meters high, symbolizing that it was built in 1991. Okay, this is an old mosque, I would say, and it was built in 1100s or 1200s rather. And this minaret over there, although it's plain, it's very simple, 60 meters high, 1,000 years old. And this is the Sultan Sanjar Mausoleum, very important for the Turks, because the Seljukian Turks, they say, originated from that part of the world. And one of the ancestors is buried over there. And this is a close look at the Sultan Sanjar's turbe. It was all made, of course, bricks. And those are the Turkmen faces. As you said, they're very light-skinned and very, very, let's say, they consider themselves Caucasian in their look. Okay, there is one, I would say, wonder in Turkmenistan up in the north, Darvaza, world's most beautiful ecological disasters, it is called, due to the fact that in 1971, when Turkmenistan was a republic of the Soviet Union, the state energy company was drilling in the desert near Darvaza. Of course, they didn't know that there was natural gas, and that's when they accidentally bought into an underground cavern filled with natural gas, and it is very funny, but it has been burning since. Okay, another view of it. Okay, this is the Darvaza. This is, and then from Darvaza, from Urgenç, Konya Urgenç, from there, from Turkmenistan, we enter again, Uzbekistan, from the north part of Uzbekistan, and use another Asia hotel in Khiva. And this is the city of Khiva. It's like an open air museum. Okay, I'm just going fast due to the limited time. Another minaret in the city of Khiva, on the left and on the right hand side. Okay, RLC, this is the worst natural disaster of the world, shipwreck, sheep graveyard. This is the RLC in 1989. It was about 70,000 square kilometers, only left I would say 8,000 square kilometers, and the ships once were in the Aral Lake on the desert. Now shipwreck, another one. You see the camels, you see the cows over there. This is the desert, and here was a big lake, 70,000 square kilometers, let's say up to 1950s, and it was due to the wrong usage of the Soviets, diverted the rivers supplying water to the Aral Sea to grow cotton for their industry. This is the hotel we use in the city of Nukus, Hotel Cipek, kind of, I would say, small boutique hotel. They're standard, but it's a nice hotel. I've stayed there many times. And the Nukus Art Museum, it is very famous, I would say, for it is artwork, Savinsky and some others. Yeah, this is the bull painting protected in the city of Savinsky, and other artwork in the Savinsky Museum in the city of Nukus. It is an autonomous region of Uzbekistan called Karakalpakistan, and the people living over there would feel themselves much closer to the Kazakhs rather than the Uzbeks. The hotels in Khiva, some other small boutique hotels, and then we fly, as you remember on the map I've just shown. We fly from Nukus to Tashkent, pay a visit to another country. That will be the 5th country on our tour. Visit Khojand. This is the unofficial capital of Tajikistan. Very beautiful, very modern city, and very fertile, by the way. Tajikistan is a country consisting of a lot of mountains, and 97% of the country would be mountains, and only 3% of the country would be, let's say, fertile plains, but very fertile, very delicious food in Tajikistan. This is the hotel we use in Khojand. It means the gathering of good people, by the way. Khojand means gathering of good people, and this is the traditional market built during the Soviet time. And this is the interior of the bazaar, again, Soviet arts. Those are the Tajik faces. And then Isikkul, that's one of the highest lakes of the world. It's called Alexander's Lake. Very beautiful, very attractive. I think if you ever go to Central Asia, you should definitely see this lake, but you need another extra day to see that. It's about 2,200 meters high, but very little, 3.4 kilometers, but very, very fantastic lake. Another view of the lake, and then this is the archaeological museum of Khojand with a lot of, I would say, colorful marble mosaics depicting the life of Alexander the Great. This is, for example, here Alexander the Great. Young Alexander the Great, learning from his teacher and Father Philip, and his let's say victories over the enemies, and his marriage with Roxana from the city of Israfshan, from Tajikistan, but his wedding ceremony was in the city of Samarkand, or Marakanda with its early name. It means fertile. Samarkand means fertile. This is again Alexander the Great and his wife from the city of Israfshan, his Central Asian wife. And you know, we have extensions to Iran from Central Asia. You know, we would start from Almaty, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. We would enter to Iran, and you know, doing Iran, and later on leaving from you know, Iran again. And some Zoroastrian, you know, those are the people who worship fire, Zoroastrian temples. Some scenes from Iran, Persepolis, you know, beautiful monuments, beautiful structures in Iran today. For example, those are all marble. And Iranian girls, okay, Persepolis again. And finally, I would like to make a comparison for you as far as the Central Asian tours are considered. You know, we have some other companies doing similar tours, for example, Mircorp, Grand Circle, and Flo Tours. And this is the list comparing our prices. We do 3 stands, Mircorp does the same. Grand Circle, you know, does 2 stands, and other, you know, countries as extensions. Of course, you have to pay separately. And, you know, those are the 5 stands. Number of days written over here, and the hotels. We think we use better hotels because they use moderate first-class hotels, 4-star, but wherever possible, we use 5-star hotels in the big cities, and in the others where we don't have any other options, we use 4-star hotels. And our prices are written also over here. As you see, you know, our 3-star price would be that, and daily, covering everything, all the flights, all the meals, you know, guiding service, transportation, all the museum entrances, all accommodation. Our daily price would be on the tour 312, and the others, you know, would be like that. By the way, this is 370 Grand Circle, but they include only 2 stands. And when we come back over here, then you see 5 stands, you know, our prices again. Our hotels are better, and our prices are cheaper. And, you know, our price would be this: 342, 537, 394. This would be the last thing. We're in the region, you know, we're located over there, although we have our headquarters in Florida and other offices in Caucasus, in Turkey. We have a office, we have our professional staff, multilingual staff in the country Uzbekistan, in the city of Tashkent, and you're welcome whenever you want to Central Asia. We would be very happy to receive you as our guests. So that would be end of my show, and I'm ready for the question and answer session.
Great. Masoud, thank you very much for a great presentation. Not only did you have some amazing images and some great information on tourism, but you gave us a history lesson as well. So thank you for all that information.
Most welcome. But time is limited. That's what I can do.
I understand. That's great. Before we jump into questions, let me just remind everyone that we are recording this session. It will be available on www.jacksfax.com under the Travel Agent Training menu if you need to go back and review anything that's been presented today. And now let me jump into these questions because we do have a few here.
Okay.
We have quite a few, actually. Somebody's asking if you can make your slides available to the attendees. They think that they're amazing representation of your region.
Of course, yeah. I may do so. I may even send them our brochures. We have electronic brochures. If my address is, you know, this is our Flo Uzbekistan office address, and I'm all over, you know, I'm in Caucasus and, you know, just supervising our offices and then going to Central Asia. And the bottom one would be my address. If they send an email to me, I'll supply our esteemed travel agents whatever information they need from me.
Perfect. Thank you. We have another question here. What's the best time of year to visit and take these tours?
Well, the best time to visit Central Asia would start from the beginning of April until the end of, I would say, you know, November. But some people may prefer to go not Tajikistan, but 3 states would be okay all year round, would be available all year round because the roads are open, less tourists. By the way, you know, as Flo, we always choose the less touristy places. We don't use the restaurants if it is more touristy. But you know, in winter, of course, you would have nobody, and some people may prefer to go there in winter. But the most popular season would start from the beginning of April until the end of November.
Very good. Another question. Are visas required, and if so, does each country require a different visa?
Oh, yes. Each country needs a different visa, necessitates a different visa, but not a very difficult thing. Our friends, our staff in the United States, in Florida, if you just give them a call or send a message to me, we will immediately let you know all the details. But very easy procedure, not difficult at all.
Great.
Mostly electronic visas, by the way.
That makes it easy. Are there currently any government warnings that you're aware of for any of the countries in this region? U.S. government warnings?
I haven't heard of any, by the way. You know, although it is Central Asia, and you may see on the map that, you know, they have borders with what, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and some other, let's say, problematic countries. Those countries are very secular, very light Muslim, and they are very, let's say, opposing nations against fundamentalism. For example, I've got my Turkish passports, and I couldn't enter into Turkmenistan. They didn't issue my visa. You know why? What was their reason? Their reason was, probably you have noticed, I mean, all of our guests, let's say, all of our listeners have noticed that, you know, Turkey has becoming sort of a more religious country in recent years, in last 16 years. And, you know, the Turkmens said to me that the Turks, although I'm not, by the way, I'm not a very religious person, I'm not a religious person at all. Turkmen said Turks are coming here and they are too much into religion. They interfere with our religious issues. So we just made it difficult for the Turks. So no warnings at all. And very safe countries, by the way. Apart from the religious issues, you know, that would be something probably may come to your mind. Other, you know, crime rates are very low too in those countries.
Great. Somebody's asking if you offer travel agents fam trips.
We do offer, yes, we do offer travel agent fam trips. We've done quite a few of them in the past years, and we may do that again, but that would be known within maybe, let's say, 30 days time from now, and we would announce it.
Okay, thank you. Somebody asked if you recommend these tours if people have trouble walking or climbing stairs.
There are not, you know, much places to climb, actually, very easy walking. And recently we had 2 people had some difficulties. They've been to 5 countries, and they said they've done quite well. So I would recommend.
Excellent. Somebody's mentioning that the programs seem as though they're packed with sightseeing, or is it a relaxed time where there's a half day of touring per day and then there's some free time? How do your itineraries work?
There are. I also forgot to mention that, you know, during our free times, we may just visit some local houses and invite some musicians, you know, take them to the local markets and bazaars to interact with the people. They're not, you know, packed with sightseeing all the time. We have, I'll send them, if they just send me an email, I'll send them our brochures, and then they will see how cultural our tours are too, with you know, such free times too.
Excellent. Great. I think that was it for questions. We just had a couple comments that they loved the presentation and learned so much. And thank you. So that was great.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our training session for today. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. Please watch for invitations for future sessions. In fact, Flo Tours will be doing another session with us next Thursday, January 24th at 11 a.m. You should be receiving an invitation for that tomorrow, so I hope everyone will join us. Great. Thank you all again, and hope everybody has a great afternoon.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.